What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about our new guest, what we've been playing this week, and AAA game misses when they do not hit the mark of expectations that they've set out. Let's get into it.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. We are on episode number 18 of the True Nerds Gaming Podcast. 18. Let's get the elephant out of the room right away. Who the hell is in our podcast right now besides Cobbsy and Drolly? So, Austin, pass over to you. Give yourself a little introduction for the people out there.
Yeah, so I'm Austin. I met Tyler about 2 years ago, and we hit it off right away. Just started talking about gaming. We had a lot of similar interests, but mostly grew up playing Halo. That was the biggest franchise in my entire life.
It's the only reason we let him on the podcast. He's a Halo fanboy with us. So
Halo fan. I actually play a lot of tactical shooters like Escape from Tarkov. Also a lot of story-driven games like Red Dead Redemption. But that's in some sports games here and there. But it just all kind of depends. I recently just started getting into some RTS like Stellaris. So
nice.
Pretty stoked. Yeah.
Actually saw, so it's on sale. Stellaris is on sale. That's how you pronounce it, Stellaris.
Yeah.
So it's on sale on CD Keys, and I've been wanting to pick it up because it's verified by the Steam Deck, and I looked at it as a grand strategy game, and I'm like, oh, not that I dislike them, but I just never put the time into playing them, so I know it can be really overwhelming, so I kind of passed. But it was only $4 on CD Keys, so it was pretty tempting. But cool. Well, welcome, man. We're super excited. We've been trying to link this up for multiple weeks. I'm glad you finally made it on, and hopefully we can
stoked to be here.
Yeah, have a good conversation, in the future too. So yeah, let's get into it. What games have you guys been playing? Let's start with Austin. What's your week been like? Games, tech, none, busy, family, work.
I've been doing a lot of schoolwork and work right now, and but I've been dabbling here and there with Tarkov, and it's coming into the late stage wipe. So for those who don't know, the game kind of does a full reset with all the player gear and everything that people have been collecting for all 6 months, and then the devs just completely wipe everybody and start the game or people's progress from zero. So that's coming up. That's pretty exciting. I've been playing Sea of Thieves with my fiance. We've been having a blast with that, just exploring, getting into some shenanigans. And that's pretty much been it for right now.
Okay.
Just looking forward to the next Hell Let Loose update. So
that's one game I keep seeing too. So you'll have to talk about that if we get on discussion point. So what's the purpose of Sea of Thieves? I've never watched. I've never played it. I know it's I'm pretty sure Summit 1G kind of got that game popular, didn't he? I don't know if you guys have ever watched him stream or not, but
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of Summit.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I've seen a couple of his videos, but it's just we really didn't know either. We kind of went into it blindly. We saw Pastilli play it with Bearkey. I don't know if you guys watch those Twitch streamers, but they were playing it and they were having a good time, just sailing around and blowing up ghost pirate ships and stuff. So we're let's do it. And then slowly but surely we've been finding quests all over these random islands and just knocking them out like that.
So you're addicted to not going to work.
Pretty much.
It's cool, dude. It's cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
I love Sea of Thieves, and I thought it was going to
see. I didn't even know you played it. Look at that.
Well, so I haven't been able to play a lot because it's not really a single player game.
Not at all. Yeah.
That he kind of alluded to. You kind of have to have a crew. And it's very much they try and make it's an arcadey pirate game, but they try and make it a little bit more realistic where each player has a job on the ship, and you kind of have to do things either in tandem or all work together to get the ship to where you want to in the middle of a battle. Everybody's got to be doing different things and paralleling everything. And so when it first launched, I was all about it. I'm a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan, and I love Pirates kind of games in general.
Microsoft fanboy too, had to pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. And then the water and graphics look great on the game. It's so fun to just sail around, and I played it for probably a good 10 or 12 hours, and it just it hits a point where like you need like playing solo really kind of stinks after a while. You can't like do as much. You get attacked by other people, and so I tried to convince some friends to play it, and nobody kind of ever like jumped on with me. My brother and I played it a couple times, and it's just wacky, and we had a blast playing it. It's so much fun.
The little bit
together.
I've watched of it is just I know you don't like Summit Austin, but it was just him like running around trolling people. Like, dude, they just kind of like they're messing with people. So I mean, it does look fun, and that is a point I do want to bring up. Like, you know, we started this gaming podcast just because that's what we talked about, but just like building that community and having that opportunity. Obviously, like Austin and Dan, you guys have met, and just having something in Discord like, oh, I want to jump in and play this multiplayer game. I think that's kind of one of my goals, to just have our Discord up and running and booming, so you don't get stuck in that single player experience if you don't got friends that want to play your stupid game that you're playing or whatever, or, you know.
Completely know that feeling.
Right. So Dan, what do you got? What have you been playing? Not Elden Ring, you piece of shit.
Outriders.
Outriders.
It went back into it. My brother, once we saw the like announcement for it, we both messaged each other, and like I kind of said last week, were already talking about it. Like he's like, hey, when's that expansion supposed to come out? And I was like, oh, they haven't put a date on it, but it is, you know, a big expansion supposed to be coming. And literally that week, they dropped the trailer and the expansion. The new update looks awesome. So we jumped back in because we never like finished the game. We got to challenge tier 15. We beat a 14, got into 15, and then we kind of like quit. But we were just doing it us two by ourselves. We didn't really kind of have a third. So
thanks for the invite.
Both, you stopped playing it. We both really love it. It's been.
See ya.
Bye.
You were saying it's been what?
Did I just?
Dude, you're good. Yeah, you just were like, you're like, it's been dude, and then just disappeared. So
Discord literally just decided to do an update and restart.
That's funny.
Awesome.
They're like, fuck your Outriders game.
Yeah. No, so they've done a slew of updates to like make it better. They took out the timer on the end game levels, which Mike and I are both like kind of mixed about. We really that was one of the only games that I've ever liked a timer on or like enjoyed it because it made sense in the thing. I think it is the dumbest thing in Destiny that I've ever seen in my life. There should be no timers, but in Outriders it really makes sense for the most part, but they ended up having to take it out because the Devastator was a tank class that did no damage, and putting a timer on it kind of just makes it all about doing the most amount of damage possible.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and
so by taking that off, it's a little bit more about survival and just beating it. So there's not that like pressure to hit a certain time. But Mike and I had some epic moments. We two-manned our way from 12 to 15 just by ourselves, and we beat two of them within a second of the timer going down, and it made it even more epic. And we're like, yes, let's go. And so that timer kind of created it and made some of that stuff more exciting. When like now that we don't have the timer, we're kind of just like, oh, we beat it, like no problem, pretty easy.
I feel like that opens up a lot for cheesing. So I mean, not cheesing, but you can just sit in corners and camp and this and that.
Yeah, a little bit. Like it some of that stuff it does, but like certain weapons like weren't viable before. Like if you tried to use a sniper and like sit back and be tactical, like it didn't work. Like you know, and like there was just like a bunch of things that it was hard for them to balance with the timer because it kind of creates that toxic environment of like Destiny 1 with Galahorn. Oh, if you don't have a Galahorn, you can't raid with us because you don't do enough damage, right? It creates that environment, and then people, they were literally, the Devastators would come into the party and they'd kick them out immediately.
That's fucked.
Like, yeah, and so like,
now
it was good that they recognized that in the community and like were able to make changes. But
yeah, because it's a cool class. Like I had a lot of fun playing it, but I'd look at my damage output and be like, wow, I suck. But have you played this, Austin? Have you played Outriders?
I have not. I know you guys have been like talking a lot about it. Like,
it's free on Game Pass. I just want to point that out.
Okay.
So you're a Game Pass subscriber, right?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
So I'll definitely
kind
have
of
to check
fun,
it out.
especially if you like kind of like looter shooters, or it has the look and some feel of like Gears of War, but some of the Gears of War hardcore fanboys that I've talked to say they don't like it. But it kind of plays a little bit more like Doom, where you just have to be running around, killing everything as fast as possible. It's kind of like counterintuitive. It's not really a cover-based shooter, but it's a ton. Once you've like figured that out, it's so much fun. Like you get health back from killing everything, so you're just supposed to all adrenaline, all action. It's really intense and addicting.
So I hate to sound like a broken record, but all I've been playing this week is Elden Ring and Darkest Dungeon. So I'm on New Game Plus 3 on Elden Ring.
Oh my gosh.
And he told me, he goes, I don't know if I want to do a New Game Plus.
Yeah.
The first playthrough took so long. I was
Well,
like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot faster your second play.
Yeah, it sucks because it's one of those games where you just really want to explore. Like my first playthrough, I missed a few bosses because I went in completely blind. So I wasn't looking up guides, I wasn't looking up boss fights, so I didn't know what bosses I missed or didn't, did and whatever. And all of a sudden I beat the game and I went into New Game Plus. I'm like, wait, I didn't fight Millennia, the person that's on my collector's edition like statue. I'm like, fuck, dude, I didn't fight her, really? So I go into New Game Plus and then I'm exploring, and then I just powered through it because I didn't like my build. Or I love my build, but I didn't want to play that build again, so I wanted to
Change it up.
Yeah, switch it up, but then I realized that I screwed up and I should have bought a bunch of crafting materials before I went into New Game Plus. So then I just powered
access to those vendors again.
Right, until the end game. So then I just powered through it. And now on this playthrough, I'm taking my time. And I just beat Millennia last night. First off, her area is the best in the game. I had so much fun, just like the way that the environment looks like. It's similar to kind of Caelid, but with more life. I guess that's the best way I can describe it, because if you look at the lore of Elden Ring, the reason Caelid's the way it is because Millennia put Scarlet Rot into Radon and just kind of made that place a wasteland, right? So you got a little bit of that in the Helig Tree area where Millennia's from, but it's very frugal with flowers and stuff, dude. It's my favorite area so far. But so anyways, sorry to be long-winded, but I go under boss fight for the first time, never have fought her, and she's a meme across the internet. I don't know if Austin, you've been kind of following.
Yeah.
So I've never seen her fight. I've never seen any of this, right? And I'm going in, I'm like, okay, she's a meme on the internet, but in my head I'm like, dude, these casuals just suck. That's what I'm thinking. And I go into her boss room and I get fucking one hit. I'm like, dude, because how it works is you get stun locked so easy by her attacks, and then when she hits you, it heals her. So even if you want to put an Ash out, you want to summon an Ash, if she hits that, she heals herself.
Oh
yeah.
My gosh.
So she heals herself on your summon. And I can't remember if I told you this, Austin. I told Dan, but I've refused to summon co-op at all.
Yeah.
That's just,
I'm
very
trying to be hardcore about it.
Yeah, very hardcore about this. So dude, for the first time ever, I thought about summoning co-op last night. And I'm like, you know what? No. And the reason I thought, I was like, I just paid $250 for a collector's edition. I'm going to beat this bitch. So I beat her last night. Felt really, really good. I mean, I looked at the Steam achievement for the community, and only 30% of people have beat her. And that's, you got to think about with co-op.
Yeah.
Dude, she's hard. Like her first phase, She's got this attack called waterfowl dance. I don't know if either of you guys have watched her on stream, but like if you get caught in it, you're dead. And then she has multiple other one hits, and her sword's super long, and she can hit you from, it feels like, halfway across the map. So anyways, that's my exciting thing for the week. I beat her.
Have you heard about the
Levy Solar
of Elden?
Levy Solar.
Levy Solar, yeah.
Just a jar in his head or a pot on his head.
So the funny thing is, I haven't watched any of his videos because I didn't want to spoil anything, because that's how like filtered I've been on the internet. I refuse to watch any boss that I have not faced. So I'm seeing all these memes about him, but I haven't watched. I didn't even know what her boss arena looked like. So that's where it's fun for me. But yeah, anyways, I beat her last night. So I beat every single boss in the game besides Fia's quest line. I need to do a couple different things. I'm not going to bore you guys, but so I got to do that. And I'm on my third. There's 6 endings. I'm on my third ending. There's only 3 achievements for the endings, but there's 6 of them total. But 3 of them only count for the Elden Lord ending. So I'm gonna get my third final ending, which is the quote unquote bad ending, because you piss off a lot of people and turn to the bad side essentially. That's really unique. It's the most unique quest line or ending that I'm gonna see. So super excited. Other than that, that's about it, man. I've been grinding, just grinding. So I'll let you guys segue. So topics today.
So that's like a great game to like go off of that has come out in the last 2 years that's been like fully complete. But we have to touch on, I feel like, the games that did not live up to expectation. Like, it is definitely something that has been like a major concern in the gaming industry. It's either been like a huge hit or it hasn't been a hit at all. And it's like, something needs to change. Like, it's just honestly like a boiling type of like a frog in boiling water effect that has happened over like the last 5 years of gaming, where it's either too stagnant or there's not enough, or there's just repeat elements. So like, especially like within the last year, like Battlefield 2042.
I was gonna talk about that pile of
like
shit.
The one game, like that is a huge company with like EA and DICE, and like for them to completely miss the mark and be completely tone deaf to like the fan base and community is just like honestly shocking. That did have like one redeeming quality for it, which was like the portal, where you could go and jump between like different like generations, like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 5, or 1942, and use like those elements. But like having, because I remember playing the alpha and I'm like, all right, like this is a good like scale, like bare bones, like what I was experiencing was just,
little
like,
did you know that was the real game.
Right. I was like, okay, there's no classes. It's a little weird. And then like there's only like 2 like shooters. Like, okay, so like these might be the classes, because they only like showed off like 3 or 4 people. And the beta hit like 2 weeks before. And then I was like, this is really concerning if this is what we're looking at for a beta. Like the entire, especially like 2 weeks before a game release, because there was like a lot of like polygon like issues where like you would load in, your character would be completely like not there, or be like underneath the map of the loading screen somehow, like if that makes any sense. And like the guns were just like completely unbalanced. Like it was just a headache. And then come to find out they were trying to create a hero shooter, and like, because that's what everybody wants to do since like Call of Duty is like popping off. But yeah, how do you guys feel about that as well?
So I've been thinking about this since we decided the topic. I guess, what's your guys' opinion on why do you think this is happening? So do you think it's a disconnect from the gamers and the bigwigs? Because I know it's not the developers. The problem is this is a very unique, muddy situation, because the developers typically are gamers, right? But they have investors, they have the bigwigs above them that are driving the funding to make these games. So do you think it's like an investment type issue where they're like, hey, we want, we know what makes money, so they push towards that way for marketing or this or that? Or do you think it truly is just an entire company disconnecting from from the gaming community, because it's not just a one-sided answer, and I think that's why it makes it a good discussion, because like you said, there's no middle ground right now. It's either this is the best game I played in a long time, or this is complete dog shit. Like you see the indie series or genre of games rising right now, because I feel like they're still connected with their fan base and their community, so they know what gamers want. And you see people going off and playing indie games more than AAA games, and that's not good. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say indie games you shouldn't play them, but when you have, you know, multi-million-dollar companies producing games that are trash, it just doesn't make sense. It's
a head scratcher for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, I think they're looking at the games that are just raking in 20, 30, 100 times, 1,000 times more money than they pulled from their game that cost them X amount of money, you know, like AAA budget. And they're like, okay, how can we get to that level? So the Call of Duty Warzones, the Fortnites, the Overwatches, the things that are just making just insane amounts of money. And they're like, how can we get to that level, or how can we do that? And so combined that with not giving the devs enough time to either create a multifaceted game that has some of those elements, but also appeals to their hardcore fan base, I think kind of just leaves you somewhere in the middle of they have a half-assed version of this and a half-assed version of that. And then people are like, well, you know, what were you actually trying to be? And like, I feel like that was the big thing with Battlefield, was like, it didn't know what it wanted to be. They're like, we're just going to throw some heroes into the Battlefield universe. And it was pretty cool in a certain game modes. It makes a lot of sense. But for your main Battlefield experience, like, it didn't make sense, especially for a mainline game. Now,
did you guys both pay for it, or just play the? Did you guys both pay for it, or just play the beta?
No, I have the EA access, so I had like 20 hours or 10 hours of like a free play. And
okay,
thank God that I did, because I was super hyped about it. I was like, I think this is going to bring Battlefield back to the forefront, and I played a little bit, and I was like, yeah, this isn't it.
What were you saying, Austin? Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, like I had it pre-ordered, had the biggest edition pre-ordered. You know, it was like the beta. I was like, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, this is a multi-million-dollar company that just created a new engine for, like, DICE created a new engine for this new Battlefield. And I was like, all right, like, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. And like literally, like, I had like 1.7 hours played on Steam. I was like, I can't do it. Like, I couldn't even play the game because it was that buggy. Like the servers. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like every time like a new Battlefield drops, like the servers are absolute trash, but like that doesn't I don't know, it was just everything else on top.
It's different.
Yeah. Like the heroes would have been fine if they did it with their Battle Royale game mode, right? Like that would have been awesome.
Yep.
But
which
the fact
makes
that,
sense. And I feel like that's where they're like, all right, we're gonna center around this, and then they kind of just shoehorned the heroes and everything else into their normal gameplay. Now, if they would have had normal Battlefield game modes, and then the heroes in the Battle Royale, and I think there was one other specific game mode where the heroes kind of like made sense, but I can't remember the name of it. But that's how that works, and then obviously it doesn't launch in just a complete buggy disaster, and I think the game takes off. I was actually really excited because I've been watching a lot of Escape from Tarkov, but it's just like not the game for me. But I was really excited. I was like, okay, now this is going to be EA's chance to bring one of these like indie developers' genius game modes and bring it to the mainstream audience, just like Fortnite did with PUBG, and just like Call of Duty did with PUBG's like the Battle Royale kind of genre that they kind of like either created or popularized. And so I was so pumped. I was like, this is going to be it. It's going to take all these Battlefield like kind of people, or the casual people who haven't gotten to Escape from Tarkov, and it's going to, give them that experience in a like, a familiar engine that they're like used to, and this is going to pop off, and this is going to make them a bunch of money. And then obviously like the whole game just died.
You can buy that game for like $20 right now. It's hilarious. Did you get your money back on Steam, Austin?
Yeah, I did.
I was gonna say the 2 hour cut off. You're like, oh fuck, man, I'm really happy to play one more match.
Right. it would have been done. Like even the maps, like if you look at the Battlefield like 2042 maps, they seem like battle royale maps because they're so vast and huge and full of nothingness. But like as Battlefield maps, did not work. Like there wasn't like Sea of Shanghai or whatever, and like Battlefield 4, like that map was awesome. It was kind of like close quarters, but also like big. You know, like
there's so many Easter eggs in that map too. If you got on top of the mountains,
they literally just had to copy and paste like a new modern skin or like a futuristic skin on Battlefield 4 with an updated graphics, and they would have made millions. Like the fans would have been happy. They
right?
Like I don't know.
Then they could have done an offshoot game.
Yeah,
like kept working on the battle royale portion and launch it as a standalone free to play game, right? Because Call of Duty went through their own thing with this, like the Blackout mode with Black Ops. It was a $30 add-on, and you had to have the game.
That was 4, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, and it like was okay successful wise, but once they went free to play with Warzone, it blew up, right? Like the people, I don't think the like big developers understand that if you're going to do one of these modes, A, it has to be right. You can't rush it. And then B, it's like if you want the mass takeoff, it's got to be like a free to play standalone thing.
So
I think that's where Halo started to understand.
I was just going to say, Halo's a hard one, man, because they made it free to play because they thought, you know, that would get more people to play their game, and it did. However, they fucked their whole fan base over because hey, co-op was supposed to be out 2 months ago. Forge was supposed to be out 2 months ago. And so you just screwed over the biggest fan base in gaming. I'm just going to put it out there, right? Hands down. So why are you tailoring to a new genre of gamer when you already had a multi-million personnel following? That's what I don't get.
I don't think with Halo, I don't think they had a big enough studio.
But then they
Battlefield, they have multiple studios.
But what did I just say? You just had a multi-million people following.
$1 million engine, $500 million engine.
Do you know what I'm saying, Dan?
No, I do, but like Halo, the engine that Halo runs off of is notoriously hard to build for. That we've experienced that with Destiny and all the rough things that like Destiny had to go through. They did just a modified version of their original Destiny engine. And so Halo didn't like completely create their own new engine. It's still another modified version of that engine for Halo Infinite. And they put a lot of work into it, but it's not an easy engine to work with. And then with them having to redo a bunch of different things before launch, and not having a big enough team that can fix and pump out new content, so it's not going to work as a live service game. So Bungie's one of the biggest single studios there ever is.
Yeah,
that's why they can do Destiny, and even they are like hamstring for content, and they have to look at every single thing. It's like, well, if we do this is so many man hours that we can do. We're not doing SRL anymore, like the Sparrow Racing League. We got to cut that from the game. We just don't have the manpower to do it. So they've been narrowing and focusing their budget, right? And that's the biggest studio on the planet.
So
there might be bigger ones.
Let's backtrack for a second. We cut Austin off. Sorry, Austin. I got excited.
It's okay.
500. What were we saying? 500. What?
So like I misspoke. I said $500 million engine, but like it was the budget that they had to create Halo Infinite was $500 million. It was a $500 million budget, and we got how many maps for ranked? How many maps for big team? We got co-op cut. We got Forge cut. Theater mode wasn't ready on time. Like the game looked beautiful, and I really took the time and let Halo Infinite marinate before I started talking about my honest opinion. Like walking into Halo and playing that first mission, it felt like holy shit, like Halo is back. You play the second mission and third mission, you're like, okay. And then but as you keep on going, you're like, when are we gonna get something a little different, a little new, fresh? Like, cause it over the last couple of weeks I've been playing like Halo 2 and 3 with my buddy, like on co-op, right? And I was like, the vast difference in like different sceneries and like different atmospheres that these games created, and they had a less budget with like less time, and they cut out so much content as well, like, is insane. Because like in Halo Infinite, kind of felt like a little cut and paste. Like the bosses eventually got stale. I love the boss like fact about it, but then like multiplayer also just kind of like, okay, we're supposed to get new maps 2 or 3 months ago. Like I felt like if they kept on adding like a new map like once a month, like it would have been fine. But then they just kept on rehashing out like the same events and not having like any very good incentives as well with the live stream service. So it was like, oh, you complete today's or the weekly challenges, you're going to get like a background for your emblem that doesn't even look that good, or there's no specialty to it. Like, what's the incentive really? Like, I want my Spartan to be badass. Like,
Right.
I want to look like a mule, or like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like insane that a company could spend that amount of money and we get a half-baked game. Like, literally, like, that is what it is. They cut so much content that should have been like, that has been a part of Halo since like Halo 1. And it's just sad that to see that 343 has like honestly fumbled every single Halo that they have released. I miss Bungie.
It's hard, man, because Bungie's not perfect nowadays either.
No.
Look at the Destiny 1 launch, though.
Yeah,
right.
I think you can draw a lot of parallels from the Destiny 1 launch to the Halo Infinite launch. They were going in a completely new direction. They had a lot of different things to do. That got completely fumbled. They cut a bunch of content that they originally going to do out of that. Content. And the vanilla, like especially the campaign, was embarrassingly stale. So
yes, it was. That just sucked.
343, like they didn't do a lot of the things right that Bungie did when they launched Destiny 1, but I think they nailed the campaign.
I was gonna say I had a blast with the campaign, and I know what Dan did too, and I know you did too, Austin. The campaign was phenomenal. I even got to the point where like you said, dude, Halo's back. I think I forgot how many hours in the campaign, but I know I had 110 hours in multiplayer. So I have a firm understanding, and I can have a very, opinionated statements here because I put the time in. I think, Dan mentioned manpower. I think they put their manpower in the wrong spots. They should have.
They're trying to do a lot. Have you heard the announcement of their battle royale they're coming out with?
Yeah,
I fucking knew it, man, and it just drives.
They've been working.
I'm not even talking about Halo anymore because I'm just triggered.
They've been working on that like in the background, or
their game's not even fixed. They don't even have co-op out. They don't have Forge out, and they're announcing battle royales like that.
Okay, so so to appease the true Halo fans, a lot of us, or most of us, don't really need a battle royale or care to want one. I think they're, the original, if they would have just kept launching campaign and campaign story mission updates and new multiplayer stuff with good weekly or monthly events for 10 years, we would have been perfectly happy.
100%. Yep.
But the new streaming genre to attract all the new audience, the younger people to Halo, to get the streamers to play it, and that's how you, like, if you kind of look at like what games are extremely successful, it's the games that the streamers are playing.
Yeah.
So, and you kind of, they've all been saying it for all of them who played Halo. They said they loved Halo. They said they need a battle royale. If they're going to keep streaming your game, if you're going to keep wanting to get eyes on your game, you need a battle royale. And so I feel like 343 was kind of just forced into this field. But we know that battle royales can go very, very poorly, and they could have spent, half of their 500 million on the battle royale, and it completely flop, and they don't make a single dime back. Where like Battlefield's battle royale, Firestorm, didn't make them a lot of money back. There's been a slew. You could probably can't even count the number of battle royales that have launched on both your hands that have come up and failed almost immediately, and all that money lost.
Do you like BRs, Austin, or no? Because I don't. I personally do not.
I first started BRs with like Fortnite before it got like insane with like the building. Like it was literally like just people like build up a wall, build up a ramp, build up a
Yep,
sidewall,
that was
and
it.
that's all you had, right? That was like
Mhm.
season 1 or 2 that I started playing.
Yep.
And then there was like a weird, it was like almost immediately, it was like instantly season 3 or I think it was season 4 hit, and it was just like kids like boom, 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 building all the way up. I'm like, okay, this is too much for me. Then Apex came out. Fell in love with Apex Legends. Still a great game. Have been so disconnected, I don't even want to touch it because I know so much has been updated. Part of me feels like games need to stop trying to recreate what others already have. Like, I get they're trying to catch on to that like tailwind of things, but like you're just trying to, like, exactly what I said, catch on that tailwind, and it might work, but it might not. It's a huge risk because like I don't think a lot of people are already going to break off a game that they're already in love with. But yeah, I'm not interested in the Battlefield Battle Royale. Like EA already has, Apex Legends. That's amazing. But like if Halo were to do it, it would be interesting for sure. So
But
definitely
they got to
would
do
tap
it
in.
right. So I think
Yeah.
they're really taking their time and putting a lot of focus on it.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem I think with Microsoft is it's the, almost $1 trillion company, and there's a lot of corporate pressure. And that's one of the reasons that Mixer failed, and that the streamers that were a part of Mixer, like Ninja, were super happy to get out of that.
Dude, they made out fat. Him and Shroud, man. Oh my gosh.
They didn't do too bad, but
Too
they were so
bad.
happy to get out of that because they were so happy to get out just because that every suggestion that they like brought up had to go up 30 rings of executives before it could get like approved before they could start working on it. So the development team behind Mixer was like, dude, we hear you. We love this idea. We can start working on it right now, but we just need to be told
Let
to
the
do it. And it's
suits,
gotta go.
the suits gotta approve
And
it.
they said everything took way too long. Nothing got done. Nothing could get like decided and approved on. And the entire time they were there, not one of their ideas was like talked about and implemented. And especially Ninja and Shroud and King Gathalion, they were brought on to be consultants,
And then
to
they
make the
didn't.
platform better.
They didn't let them
They didn't listen
consult.
to 'em.
So that reminds me. Activision Blizzard makes a shit ton of money, right?
At least they used to.
They used to, right? So I just want to talk about how big the disconnect is between the developers, the gamers, and the bigwigs. Their new Diablo game, Immortal, is a mobile game. Let's talk.
It's gonna have a
A
PC,
PC,
launch.
right? But let's talk about how we don't need to continue the conversation because it's super simple, cut and dry. Diablo 3's launch was kind of poor, but then when it actually got going, you have people still grinding the seasons. They had one of the most popular games out there, but the pressure to get into the mobile scene forced them to take a extremely successful game into the mobile scene where everyone fucking hates them now. I mean,
Yeah, completely toned up. All their fans that kept playing it for 10 years, they were just like, we're making the new one.
Dude, I was playing Diablo 3 on Xbox 360 and people are still playing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, even like years ago, like it had already been like played out for like 5 to 7 years, and people were like, dude, you should get on and play it. And I was like, how is that game still like going around? But like people love that game, and yeah, they were just completely tone deaf there. And I feel like I think it's getting progressively worse and worse. But I think the big problem is because gaming is becoming one of the like biggest markets out there, and it's seeing like the biggest growth year over year, that they're starting to like, okay, where they're trying to follow the money just like they do in the manufacturing or consumer electronics world, that they're like, okay, what's selling on and what's doing this, or we need to have that and we need to do that. And a lot of the copycat kind of stuff I think works there, but in gaming, if you don't hit it right, it doesn't work. And I think that's where their kind of disconnect is. But I mean, if you look at some of the top 5 most profitable games, they cost nothing to make. Fortnite, they said they made Fortnite in a month.
Yeah,
Well,
it
they
was.
transitioned it from their original idea that they had been working on for a couple of years to the battle royale in a month.
Yep, it was like super quick with how fast they like transitioned that battle royale. But the fact that it was so accessible, it was so easy, it was so like colorful, like and
Mhm.
all ages could play it. That it just took off from there.
Yep, it ran well, which battle royales did not run well at the time. So, and then they've been genius in the way they continue to update Fortnite. I've been following it. I kind of go back every once in a while, but they reshift the map in new and interesting ways, but yet keep it like a good enough feel. They increase new story elements. They got a big deal with Disney and they're bringing in Marvel, and now companies are coming to them to advertise stuff because it's so many eyes on the game. It's like actually crazy. So like
Wu-Tang
everyone
Clan is going to Fortnite. Like that's insane to think about.
there's concerts in Fortnite. Like
Yeah,
Fortnite's becoming the real kind of like metaverse, or at least the
it
first
really
one.
is.
I've
Yeah.
never played it.
It's fun. I mean, it's a battle royale, but like they've done a good enough job of also kind of doing some other stuff that you can
Hmm.
do, where it's not just about like winning the battle royale now, like it used to be. It just keeps people interested and keeps things fun, and they're always doing new and wacky things, and like their seasons are timed perfectly, and they have changes mid-season to
They're
keep
not
things
November to
fresh.
May.
Yeah, and it's like the
Sorry.
Destiny seasons feel like I don't even know why they call them seasons. They're just so long. Anything that's like more than like 2 months, I like feel like you can't
Well, let's
like.
talk about Halo. I just saw a Twitter uh, from 343, and they're like, Season 2. I'm like, dude, I stopped playing your game 4 months ago. Like, it's just, it's funny.
Too long. It's
Yeah.
been like with Halo, they missed. They should have had like something like you said 3 months ago or 2 months ago to keep it like at least throw a new map,
Mm-hmm.
like throw something because it felt like way too long, like the accordion effect for them to
Mhm.
finally like listen to the fans and be like,
Right.
oh, you guys want skins like for your Spartan and for like a weekly achievement.
You don't want to pay $10 for a blue skin. Um. So let's talk future games. What's your most exciting game that you're looking forward to? That we'll put in a AAA scene that you're excited but nervous might fail. And in your opinion, how can the developer either save it or screw it up? So I can go first if you guys want to. It's a really simple one. Starfield. Let's talk Starfield.
That's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge.
that's a big game.
It's
So
one of those. I think recently. Sorry to cut you off, but
okay,
the more
I'm
hype
used
that
to it.
these things, yeah, yeah, you are. I watched last week's, and I'm just constantly cutting you off.
It's
But
passion, baby.
I think the more hype that these companies build through marketing creates this big, like the more they can fall off so hard. Like Apex Legends, like launched like the day,
Best launch ever. Best launch ever.
dropped it and said, "Hey, it's out now. Go ahead and like start
Take
playing
it or
it."
leave it,
And
boys.
it just took off. But like Cyberpunk and Battlefield, they keep trying to just build up this massive amounts of hype when they know the game's trash. Like Destiny learned that the hard way in their, when they first launched their first season or their first expansion of Destiny 2, and they're like hyping it up like they normally would, and they knew it was garbage. They knew they
So
didn't have enough time. They knew it wasn't finished.
I do want to say, man, Bethesda hasn't been marketing Starfield that much. They are just like a normal company. Have we seen gameplay of it?
Just a teaser.
We don't know what it's about, and I like that. I like that.
Walking around in a ship, and like that was it.
Yeah,
Can I say something real quick
of
about that?
course. Yeah,
Bethesda is notorious for not releasing any footage until 6 months before release. They did it with Skyrim. They did it with Fallout 4. They did it with Fallout 76. Some people love it, some people don't.
that was a nice way of saying it.
But like they'll announce it like they kind of did with Starfield or like the new Elder Scrolls, right? They won't say anything, and they'll just throw like little nuggets, like, "Oh, we're working on here's like some things we're composing," And then, but with the showcase coming up, when is it, in June?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I feel like we're gonna see. Okay, so one of my buddies is working on a game that might be coming to that showcase. I can't announce.
I already know what you're talking.
But Starfield is we're gonna see something then. I guarantee it, because that's 6 months exactly until, or pretty close to. So yeah, but they do that. I just want to let you guys know about that.
Which I think is like smart to a point, where they're like,
Yeah.
you're not like having too much. They're not promising so much like Anthem was before. It's
Or No
like
Man's Sky.
yeah, or yeah,
dude, let me tell you the best teaser trailer you'll ever see. Outer Worlds 2, hands down best. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
dude. It's like, hey, look at this badass endgame boss. We don't know if it's in the game yet. Like, that's the best way to put it. You know, I used to be I would still consider myself a very huge Bethesda fanboy. I've never not liked a game of theirs. I never played Fallout 76, so I can't speak negatively of it. I don't like giving my opinions if I haven't played it, except with the Halo cinematic Paramount Plus piece of shit TV
I
series.
refuse to watch that.
I don't know. Me and Dan got on a tangent last week, so I was just kidding around. But I haven't played Fallout 76, but every single Bethesda game I've played, I've fallen in love with. You know, glitches aside, whatever aside. I'm super excited for Starfield, man. I think they're gonna release it. It's gonna be in a good Bethesda state with glitches and all. I think the only thing holding it back for me might be the scenery, what's the word I'm thinking of? Super simple word.
Environments?
The environment, thank you. Because spaces aren't like a huge attention grabber to me. I think it could work with them. A lot of exploration, lots of unknowns. But I'm excited. Hopefully, if the game is not ready, they will delay it, though.
I hope so.
I love when games get delayed nowadays.
I mean, right. I'd rather. I mean, I just don't even put a release date on it. I think these big corporate companies, they want release dates on everything, but if it's not, if you can't say in 6 months from now it's going to release and be perfect, you shouldn't be putting a release date on anything, and you shouldn't even really be announcing it, because every game that's failed horribly, like so bad the internet hates it, has announced way too early, didn't start working on it early enough, or hadn't even been working on it when they announced it. And then people are just like, when are you going to release this game? When are you going to, there's pressure to release it. And then it just releases in a buggy, hot mess or completely unfinished state. I mean, like Cyberpunk could have been, one of the greatest games ever released. And just the mess that it released in, like, even if like with everything kind of set aside, they should have just released it for PC to begin with. That was in like a decent enough state or worked on it enough, and then they'll be like, hey, console ports coming like a year later. And I think a lot of people could have kind of forgave them, because the console ports were even, so much worse than the PC ones. And yeah, they had to have known that it was just terrible.
I think honestly it was the shareholders that really had like CD Projekt Red by the balls, because they were like really complaining, but like they already delayed it once. Like I think it got delayed for like 6 months, and like they started tanking because like the shareholders, like, because they went public after like the Witcher 3 brought so much success.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there was a lot of pressure from the shareholders and the fans. Then they definitely like overhyped it, that they it could have executed well. I think they needed like another 2 years minimum.
What are we talking about?
Cyberpunk. Like how it could have been like the next Witcher 3 or something like that, right?
Well, people would be talking about it like they're talking about Elden Ring right now. That's like, it's one of the greatest games we've ever played, and probably will play for the next 5 to 10 years.
I think the problem
keep coming back to that game, and like Cobbs and I have kind of talked about the Skyrim model of making such a dang good game that you can sell it for the next 10 years should be every game company's goal.
I think the problem, I mean, you just hit on it earlier. Actually, I can't remember who hit on it, but when companies get overmarketed or overmarket their games, if you look at the history of CD Projekt Red, Witcher 2 was decent. Witcher 3 blew up, right? So they started marketing the ever living shit out of CD or Cyberpunk. If they wouldn't have marketed it so much, and the game came out with no expectations, and if it came out with no expectations and it wasn't in the state of a mess it was in, and they could have delayed it a few months, I think the game would have been well received.
I think so too.
You know what I mean?
Really
like if you go look,
people that have played it and beat it and with minimal bugs, they absolutely love it. They say it's one of the best games, and it's definitely the best visual game I've ever seen or played, and the gameplay is like solid. But yeah, it could have been.
They died to marketing, man. They just got
and pressure.
If you look at their game list, man, they don't. Witcher 3 just blew their studio out of proportion.
Yeah,
they didn't have experience in that big of a budget, well-selling game.
No,
in my opinion.
And that's what I was just telling Dan. I think like the shareholders had it by them like, hey, release it now because you already delayed it like 3 times.
Dude, they could have not released a game for the rest of their career, and I mean, fuck, The Witcher 3 is still selling.
It's still like even like the Game of Year edition, $10 right now.
I was just gonna say it's $10 on Steam, man. I need to buy it. I haven't.
Right,
I don't own it.
I think I've done like 4 playthroughs. Like I got it like on the PlayStation 4, then I got it on the Xbox. Like insane.
I know it is weird.
But there's a classic example of doing like kind of the Skyrim model of making such a dang good game, and they made it. And even kind of The Witcher 2, the studio has really good potential. They had graphics settings in there that on the PC portion that graphics cards couldn't take advantage of for another like 5 years.
Witcher 2 is a great game.
So forward facing that you could keep playing it and it'd still be very, very relevant. There's a setting in there that in The Witcher 2 that will literally still put graphics cards to its knees today if you try and play it in 4K. And if you click the box, it doubles their internal render resolution of what you're trying to do it at. And so instead of playing at like 4K, you'd be playing at like 16K. And so, I mean, for a time, if you're, on a 1080p monitor, it's like something that you can like check and play, but that's just like how forward facing they were. Even to this day, it can like buckle graphics cards and like they don't have the horsepower to play it. But the graphics work for Cyberpunk, insane.
Yeah, they were like
just didn't give it the time that it needed.
Are we on a tangent right now, or did someone start talking about the game that they're looking for in the future this year?
Go ahead, Dan.
We're on a tangent.
Oh, we're on a tangent. Tangents are good. You can't talk about gaming without going on tangents. I like it. All right, Dan, what's your...
Starfield is definitely like a really big one. I'm really nervous for it because we haven't seen any like gameplay. Starfield.
Yes.
Like we don't even know what it's about, or like what moment to moment gameplay like looks like. So I am kind of a little bit hyped for it, but I'm pretty nervous that it might be a great game, but it also might not be a game for me. So it's like I've got my eyes out. I'm kind of nervous about that one, especially with all the delays. But I'd rather it just keep getting delayed until eternity than launch too soon.
I'd always rather have a game get delayed than launch in a unplayable state.
They stated something that kind of like took me back a little bit. Like Bethesda came out and said that like their worlds are bigger than the entire map of Skyrim. Like each world is, and I'm like, okay, is that going to be like full of just nothing,
right?
Like, or is it going to be like pure chaos? Like, because like we've been like bashed over the head with such bad games lately that we're just expecting the absolute worst to come out of that if we hear that statement.
This is gonna be like Death Stranding every single planet. Like, and I know some people really do enjoy that game. I can understand why it's not really for me, but people are gonna get pissed here. Breath of the Wild kind of turned me off for, I understand there's a lot of exploration and stuff, but I'm a very story driven dude. So having a barren type map turns me off. Now, granted, there's a lot of stuff to do in there, lots of stuff to find, but being story driven, it kind of really turned me off. So I hope Starfield is full of NPCs, full of side quests.
There's a great example in, if you kind of draw a parallel from Breath of the Wild to Halo Infinite is they're both a lot of the scenery is like really, really similar throughout the entire map.
Mhm.
There's not like a
Do that,
lot of
yeah.
different variations of zones, but Breath of the Wild obviously has a lot of different puzzles that you do in different areas. And so 343 could have done stuff like that, but I think that would have turned me off to Halo specifically. And honestly, the campaign and with it not having a bunch of different variation didn't really bother me. I thought it was a little bit more realistic. It felt like a battlefield that you were trying to conquer and move, and the battlefield's pretty much going to stay the same if you're in like a certain zone. Now, what I was kind of hoping for is what they could expand. So they said this was a 10-year game. Is each chunk gives you a new set of scenery or changes a little bit or gives it a different setting. And so the different story chunks would have accomplished that goal. But we just haven't seen anything about that yet.
If they do that, I would love it. And plus, also add the flood finally. But yeah. So your favorite game, Dan? By the way, what is or anticipated game, I should say?
I'm actually nervous for the new Outrider expansion. I'm like super hyped, but after going back and like playing Outrider still like these past couple weeks, it's still kind of buggy. Which feels real bad after like a year.
Yeah, because last April we played it together. I remember Heather was gone, so we were just grinding, man.
Mm-hmm.
You came over, came over with your PC.
Yeah, that was fun, but I feel like if they can't resolve those buggy issues, they're already trying to release like new DLC. I don't know if it's gonna like. You'd hope that it would like fix a bunch of the stuff that they've kind of done, but then why haven't they released those updates that fixes things? There's like there's so many status effects and different calculations of each perk that varies that I don't think the game engine can handle all of it all at once. And so sometimes like abilities or effects just don't do anything. And then sometimes like just this like yesterday, my character just disappeared
because he
for
sucked.
like 2 levels.
Game said he sucked, dude. Get out of here.
I was a weapon that was just walking around. Like my weapon on my back was the only thing that loaded in.
That happened to me when we first played. I remember that.
I was a floating weapon for a while, and then I didn't exit out and I didn't do anything. My character just came back, and then I lost my head, and then it's just like there's so many just weird random things that kind of happen that I am really excited for it, but I'm pretty nervous that they didn't fix enough of the bugs to like hit that mass audience like they did initially, and so they might just go right back to the same state that they were kind of in, where they kind of it blew up and then it imploded very quickly because of all the bugs.
I'm rooting for it, man, because the hype leading into that game was super big, and then the game launched buggy. We talked about that last week, and then the fan base fell off until, unless you really did give it time like we did. So I'm hoping that this launch gives people the opportunity to experience the fun that we had.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think it will, is set up to do. But if they don't, fix, at least get it a little bit better, I think some people are going to go in, hit some of these bugs right away and be like,
fuck this.
Nah, I'm out, like I'm done. If you can push through past some of them, like they don't happen that often. And sometimes just like you restarting the game kind of fixes everything for the most part, or a lot of it too, because they don't have dedicated servers. It really depends on your host and their internet connection. My brother's playing out of like a hotel Wi-Fi, and so if he's host, we're both the other 2 players are just
Ouriders is peer to peer.
Yeah,
I didn't really. I guess. Oh, maybe I did know that. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that can cause like a lot of their issues, and so if they don't resolve some of that, I think people are going to have a very different experience set. Some people are going to have very little problems and absolutely love the game, and some people are going to have too many problems right away and just like give up on it, which kind of sucks because I do love the game.
Austin, what do you got?
Oh, I'm gonna go with like a very probably really popular one, but it's Hogwarts Legacy.
Both Cobbs and I are pretty
dude, we're fucking so stoked. So, I didn't even mention it because I'm assuming it's gonna be phenomenal because that's my
I have a feeling
You're falling into it.
You know what? You're no longer allowed to talk, Austin. We're not going to talk any negative about this game. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, yeah.
We're actually turning this channel into a Hogwarts Legacy channel.
Oh yeah.
Good. Like I'm glad because that's there goes my life and some
Right.
of Kaylin's. Like that's all we're gonna be playing as soon as it comes out for like months.
Oh, you called her your fiance? You mean ex-girlfriend when she breaks up with your ass for just playing Hogwarts all the time? He hasn't left his room for 39 hours straight and he smells.
Probably like quit work and play it if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
Like I am so I'm ready to be like hurt so bad from this game, like if it does do bad, but I feel like because like it has like the Skyrim and Elden Ring elements almost of like exploration. When I say Elden Ring, I mean like the bosses that you might face.
Mm-hmm.
But like that level of like going and like learning like different magic and like all that, and going to the classes and attending like getting like hopefully they haven't announced it yet, but like playing like Quidditch and stuff like that, choosing your wand and like getting into the sorting house, like that seems like so much fun. Like I've been dreaming of this game for like years and
Do you
years.
think it's like Persona? Is it going to be like a life sim when you're not in combat? 'Cause we don't know, right?
We don't know. We really don't know. That's actually really interesting that you say that.
Or even
because,
Fire
like,
Emblem? I don't know. Did you ever play Fire Emblem Three Houses?
But if it's like Persona and how you go through the class, like or the semesters and
Mhm.
stuff like that, that would be really interesting. I never even thought about it. Like
I
that's
think
a
that-
really good
Yeah.
look at it, Cubs. Because then you get all the seasons and then you get through like all the semesters and you get up to like the 4 years and stuff like that. Like yeah.
It does really feel like the developers are massive, like
Yeah.
Harry Potter fans,
Right.
and they really tried to like put every continuity detail in there, and I think they understand what this game really could be, and so I really think that they're like, we want it to make it feel like you're living and going to Hogwarts.
You don't want to
Yeah.
piss off the Harry Potter fan base, dude.
No, yeah, you definitely don't.
And they
So
were actually like afraid of announcing it because it's J.K. Rowling stuff and like
Yeah,
stuff. But they did.
right.
I'm glad they did. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think I'm with Cobbs with this one, where I think they've like put enough like time into it, and I think the exploration, like you said, is going to be like really, really fun and just awesome to just go around and explore that universe. But I am a little nervous about the combat and how it's going to feel to play moment to moment, because like I've seen it, and I think they're doing like a pretty darn good job of you having different spells and like casting and doing this stuff, but how is it going to feel when it's a controller's in your hand and you got to do it? Is it just going to be really repetitive and one dimensional, or is it going to be kind of more dynamic and engaging?
That was one of my worries too. Is like because like are you just going to be spamming the same spell over and over and over again, or like if they had cooldowns, or like you can only use X amount during like in Persona you can only use so many of them while you're going through like a dungeon, and man, like yeah, I'm worried about that. Also worried it might be like, but a lot of people kind of love like the Skyrim and like Fallout like glitches and stuff like that because like for whatever reason like they like, oh, this is adorable, the dog's like falling through the stairs like dog meat is, and like everybody's okay with it because it's like, oh, it's a Bethesda game. So like is it going to be something like that, or is it going to be like game breaking bugs like in Cyberpunk where like I literally lost a save because my character fell through like a level? Like it was just I couldn't, like every time I spawned boop boop and I
That
had to
hurts.
completely But
Yeah, that's one that I'm like, okay, I think I'm done with this game.
yeah,
I think my
exactly.
biggest worry is progression. How is the progression going to work in this game? Because, like you guys said, is it just going to be spamming certain spells? How is the classroom environment going to work? I think that's, I guess, not a worry, just a curiosity, right? Because the progression could be either really fun, or you actually enjoy progressing. Like Fire Emblem Three Houses, for instance. I loved in between battles. That game, you could take as much time in between battles as you wanted. You could skip through everything if you just want to get straight to the combat, but I actually enjoyed the classroom. I enjoyed like picking and choosing who was doing what chores. I was roaming around the school. I really enjoyed that. And if they can hit that on the head, I would really really put a lot of time into Hogwarts Legacy. But if it's just a filler, that's going to kind of bug me, because when, that's 50% of your game and you're just kind of fast forwarding it through it. I guess, again, we haven't seen anything.
Just seem like the big bad awesome stuff that's going to be, like in our face.
Right.
Hopefully we get more in the next couple of months. They're not having E3 anymore, sadly, but
yeah. Are they doing virtual or no?
It's done
right now.
Done.
Yeah.
You got to think of it. I mean, developers are going to save a shit ton of money when you can just post a video like this on YouTube.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
They've been having events like that, like just like Sony, like the State of Play was all live stream, and it was just like literally like, hey, pop on to Twitch or YouTube Live, check us out.
Which those are fun, but the week of E3 it literally was like Christmas. It's like every day you're like, what just got announced?
Right.
It was great for like the different news companies because they got these, all these views and people looking to the news to see what got announced, what looks good, and it was so much fun to just have all that crammed into 1 week. Where now it's just kind of like, oh, okay, Xbox just did a thing for a half hour,
like breaking news.
Yeah, like they announced like 2 or 3 things, and you're like, okay, that's cool. And then like, I don't know, there's nothing else the rest of your week. Now hopefully, like I think there was a lot of pressure to show stuff at E3, and that's where some of these games like got announced way too early. So hopefully, like I think we've already kind of seen less announcements and less like big gameplay kind of reveals and stuff like really early, because they don't have to do that if they're an individual company. They can either could be a 4-hour long show, or it could be 20 minutes of a show, and like, hey, this is what we're ready to show at this period in time, and there's no set expectations of like what they have to do.
Right. Yeah. That's what Sony even broke it down to like 2 different weekends. We just had like a 20-minute thing, and just like a Hogwarts Legacy and a couple of other games, and then the next thing. So
yeah.
Sounds like we're kind of pushing towards the end. I just want to bring this up. We actually just hit 32 subscribers, so I'm actually very, very excited about that. So I just want to put it out there. If you guys have been sticking around, truly appreciate it. We do have a Discord channel, so you can reach out to us in a personal message on YouTube if you want to get that info. The more the merrier. I think we got 20 or 22 or some people in there. But I'm always posting random stuff in there. Austin and me and Dan are always talking, and that's really cool. We got Twitter.
The 4 people who made it to the end.
That's right. The 4 people.
The 1 extra and us 3 right here.
Hey man, you might maybe you want to get into Discord. So we got that. We got Twitter. We got an Instagram page up.
Launched the Instagram.
Thanks to Austin. So he's putting out his expertise when it comes to that. So yeah, man, just anyone out there, if you want to join the Discord, we appreciate it. Smash that like button. I don't know. I don't like repping the channel right away in the beginning, because it just fucking pisses me off when people do that. So but that's all I got, man. This was her gentleman. I shouldn't say man, gentlemen. We got 2 people in here now. Very good conversation. We're at 1 hour and 8 minutes. So do you guys got anything to add, Austin? As the guest speaker, the man, the myth, the legend, Bigfoot. Is Bigfoot real?
Bigfoot might be real. I don't know.
Sorry.
But just one thing, another game I'm looking forward to, just to drop this little dime there, is the Day Before. So take a look at it if you haven't.
What genre is it?
It's like take World War Z or DayZ, I'm sorry, and the Division.
Oh,
put that together.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's right up Dan's alley. I know that. It's a looter shooter. I love the Division. Never played DayZ.
I haven't either, but yeah, it's like, it looks like the Division with zombies and like PvP and PvE elements. So
The Day Before.
Yeah, take a look at it. Comes out this June. Yeah, 1 month comes out. Yeah.
Survival game. I did see this. Yeah, I saw this on Game Rings, I'm pretty sure.
NVIDIA's like been pumping this one up. They're like, look at this graphics on NVIDIA and all these zombies.
The funny thing is, so many games that NVIDIA pumps up don't do.
I
well.
know. And
Oh no.
Almost awful games.
don't say that, Dan. Hopefully this is the one, you know?
So this is Austin's new most nervous game to flop.
Yep.
Well, I was looking really forward to it.
Until Dan opened up his
The
stupid
NVIDIA
fucking mouth.
streak of opening up games in the year.
Oh man.
I love NVIDIA, but it's almost like some of the things are really cool, but then they try and like pump a bunch of them into like one game, and then they like try and market it.
You see all the dogs laying? She's just like,
Yeah, I know. She's just chilling.
chilling. Close your legs. Sweet.
Hopefully-
I forgot about that. I did see
Thank you
that.
guys for having me on, by the way. I really
Yeah, man.
appreciate
No, I'm
A lot of
glad we finally made it work out. We've been talking literally months for this.
it. Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, that was a good conversation. Like I said, when me and Dan started this podcast, it was just we literally talked on the phone every other day on the way home from work. So we're like, we should just start throwing, because I made a YouTube channel. I wanted to kind of do like a Mr. Fruit kind of theme, like just playing games and like conversing and whatever. And then I just kind of got busy, and then me and Dan were talking about video games every night. And obviously you worked with me, you knew how much I talked about video games too. I'm like, dude, let's just make a podcast. Why not? If people watch us, cool. If not, we're doing what we're gonna do anyway. So yeah, man, you are welcome as much as you want. It's fun. Definitely good conversation. Very like-minded.
You won't be back.
What?
I said unless the video bombs, and then
Yeah, if we don't get over this many views, if we don't get over 4 views,
about our 30 views that we get, we're very into it.
oh yeah, we're trying to get in the algorithm right. All right, that's all I got. Austin, you're good.
All right. You guys have a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, man. What do you got, Dan?
Stay nerdy.